What is up, YouTube? And this is my part 2 of my regional report from January 7th, 2012 at the Edison Regionals. As I talked about in the first part, in the first video, I talked about my matchups and so forth. And now I'm going to be going over the deck I ran, what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it. But ultimately, there isn't really much I didn't like. Really, I wouldn't have changed anything. I guess I just wish I'd played a little differently. But in terms of this deck, yeah, I wouldn't have really changed anything. I'm just happy with what I ended up using. But let's get on to it. So this was Tech Genus Agents, same deck I ran before. We'll get on to the monsters. I ran 29 monsters. I ran triple Agent of Mystery Earth, the search card of the deck / tuner. Sometimes I used it to sync, but most of the time it's just kind of there to get the search and attacking over it. If they attack over it, you can drop something like Trigodia. So, yeah, you have options, but really its bigger purpose is to search out the 3 Venus. I was originally running Jupiter. I did take it out I wasn't liking it as much. There were certain scenarios where it would have been nice, but overall I did not feel like I needed it at any point during the tournament. And the 3 Venus get the 3 Mystical Shine Ball. Shine Balls are annoying to draw, but I don't think there was only like once or twice where I drew like double Shine Ball, so it was okay. No problem with that, but ultimately they're all about getting out this baby, the 3 Master Hyperion. I think this thing's going to get hit in my next ban list because of how good it is. It's just like running 3 Dark Armed. It's just pretty ridiculous. I always waited I think part of the reason why I did well was because I always waited till the right time to play this card, and I didn't recklessly overextend with it. It just was good all day, simply put. And then that was the agent / fairy part, with the exception of 2 cards I'll get to. And then I had the Tech Genus engine, which was 2 TG Striker, 2 TG Warwolf, and 1 Rush Rhino. The main change was that I did not want to run 3 of each TG. I just wanted to run 2 of each and Rush Rhino. I think this was fine. They weren't dead nearly as much. It also meant I didn't draw them as much, but that was okay. They worked out just fine. The Rush Rhino was just really good, especially in the bad matchups where you just like having a 2000 beater you can search out of your deck. Then I had the Hand Traps, which was 2 Herald of Orange Light. Still like this over Veiler because it hits more things. I like that it can stop cards like Gores, and it can even stop Effect Veiler if I need to stop, if I'm that desperate. Just really good. And then 2 Max C's. This time I actually have it. This card was much better this time around compared to the Stratford Regional, mainly because I ended up facing, mainly because I actually got to use it to gain more pluses in the matches where it was relevant. Against Dino Rabbit, when I played Nizar Sarhan, this card was like one of the best cards because every time he went for Rabbit, I had a Max C to chain, and he wasn't siding in D-Fissures for some reason. I think he just didn't care at that point, but whatever. Regardless, this card was really good for those types of situations. And then I had Double Trag and Gores. Hand Traps, Trag was really good just to have as a big beater. Gores was awesome whenever I dropped it. Pretty simple. And then the main tech of this deck, which isn't so much of a tech, but I felt it was a great card to run, which was 2 Thunder King Rhino. I don't think I would have bumped this up to 3 if I could. Honestly, I think 2 was a good number, but whenever I played this, it was a solid play. There wasn't any time where it like really won me the game, but it was never a card I hated to draw or even disliked drawing. So I'm glad I ran it for that reason. It's just a very consistently good card. And then for the 1-ofs of this deck, I had 1 Sanguine because he searches out a lot of the deck, 1 Honest, and 1 Blackluster Soldier. I barely dropped BLS, but whatever, happens. So that's 29 monsters. For the spells, I have 3 Pot of Duality. I kept saying I wanted to bump this up to 3, and Even with Thunder King, I considered bumping this down to, and with Thunder King, I considered bumping this back down to 2, but I'd rather draw this than not draw this, especially running Thunder King. But as I said in the first video, there was one time where I drew all 3 of this, and it ended up kicking me in the ass. Because even when you draw 2 of this card, you're usually fine. When you draw 3, it sucks. Just simply that. There's never going to be a situation where you're going to be happy to draw all 3. Double MST, and then double creature swap. Both of these cards were so good during the event. Creature swap especially. I keep telling people I run this deck because of this card. It's partially because of it. It is just so good. I stole Nizar Sarhansdolka. I stole a bunch of other things. It's just really good. And then I had the limited cards: Dark Hole, Heavy Storm, Monster Reborn, and of course, yeah, Mind Control, because it's so broken. And of course, my only trap, as it was before, Trap Dust Shoe. I was considering a few changes, like putting in 2 Mind Crush in addition to this, but just worked out that was the only trap I needed. Simply put, I would not have run the Mind Crush, honestly. It's not good against Dark World, and I just don't get it off that often. It's just not good in my hands, I suppose. Maybe I'm just not good enough to use it. But for the extra deck, moving on to that, we had 1 Gotcha Gotcha Gantetsu, 1 Levier the Sea Dragon, 1 number 17 Leviathan Dragon, 1 Utopia, number 39 Utopia, 1 Army Arm, 1 Wonder Magician, really good card, one of my favorite cards that I got out throughout the event, 1 Ally of Justice Cataster, 1 Brionic, 1 Gaia Knight Force of Earth. This was the only change from the Stratford Regional, which was I replaced the Ancient Fairy Dragon with an Ancient Sacred Wyvern. I thought this card was better than that. I only got it out once, but it was very helpful nonetheless. 1 Black Rose Dragon, 1 Stardust Dragon, 1 Scrap Dragon, 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier. This was probably the card I made the synchro I made the most, and 1 Chimera Tech because I couldn't make room for anything else and I didn't feel like siding it. You know, extra deck cards. It's just annoying. And then my side deck. I sided the 3rd MST, triple Royal Decree, because this card is so good, and because I needed this card against decks like TG Stun that were very trap heavy. Double Smashing Ground. This was particularly for the Mirror Match and Rabbit decks. I didn't draw it much, but it was still very helpful when I sided it against Rabbit. I think that was the only deck I sided it against, if I remember correctly. I sort of wish I'd sided this in against the TG Stun player at the very end, but to be honest, it's not really worth siding just because because you're afraid to deal with Barbaros and Thunder King. Double Debunk. Sorry for the poor camera work here. This was particularly meant for plants, but I kept thinking if there was a deck I wanted to side this against, any other decks I could think of that this would be good against, I would do it. Just sided in twice though, just against plants, but it worked both times, so it was good. Double Kaiku. This should have been in my side deck at Stratford, as I mentioned during that deck profile, but this time I used it, and it was very good. I didn't end up playing any Dark Worlds as I had hoped, and I didn't always side this in against TGs, but it's still a very good card to have for a lot of decks like that. It's very good. There isn't much more to say. Double Cyber Dragon. This was particularly for the Mirror and a lot of other decks, but mainly I also used it as most of the time I sided this whenever I sided in Vanity's Fiend, which was one of the 3 the new additions to my side deck in addition to Kaiku. I only decided this in against like 1 or 2 decks, but it's very good. The only time I brought it out was against my round 2 Lightsworn opponent, and the only reason it didn't kill him was because he drew one of his only outs to the card very quickly, which was Honest. He could have drawn one of his Smashing Grounds or Dark Hole too, but regardless, you know, the fact they drew into it so quickly definitely bugged me. And then the last card I side decked, which was a card I'm going to continue to side deck for the rest of the time I use this deck for sure. DD Warrior Lady. This card, I had just thought about it when I was testing at my locals, and I realized this card is good against 3 decks I don't like to face. It's good against Rabbit, it's good against Dark World, it's good against TG Stun. Now, the problem though is this is a card you normally will have to play conservatively, simply for the fact that you won't want to set, most of the time you'll want to set it, and when you do want to set it, it'll be when you know your opponent's going to attack into it. So it's like for DD Warrior Lady, you're going to wait till they play Grapha against Dark World, you're going to wait until they don't have you'll use it when they only have Laggy on the field against Rabbit, and for TG Stun, you'll probably wait until they have Horn, because this will stop them from drawing a card, and you'll basically be killing 2 cards of theirs off at the same time. So, yeah, do that. But yeah, it was very good. Definitely would keep it. I thought it was very good. I wish I'd played Dark World just to see how I would have done side deck wise, but this worked out, you know, for a side deck. I'm pretty much done with this deck after this week. I might choose to run it when I come back home in February, and I'll run it right before I find out about the ban list, but I don't know. Honestly, I'm going to be making in my next videos, I'll be talking about what deck I want to run next format, which will probably be something associated with heroes, but you guys can give me your own suggestions. I'm going to see what happens. Anyway, I'm out of here, guys. Enjoy this deck profile. Peace out.